How's it going, everybody? Let me know too. I had to dust off all the dust on this microphone just to make sure. It's been so long since we've been doing these streams. I don't even know if the audio is all good. If you guys wouldn't mind, let me know. That'd be awesome. How you guys been? How you guys doing? Ryan, how you doing? Noel, how's it going, my man? Eric, Justin, good to see you. Charlie, how you guys doing? I know. Hey, it's been such a long day at the office. Anyway, how you guys doing? Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty, and then we can chit chat. People will always roll in. Hero, brother, how you doing, man? Good to see you. All right, so how do we start this off? I'm gonna keep doodling here, and then we'll do some talking and all that good stuff. But anyway, long story short, so I've taken a little bit of a break from comics, as most of you guys probably already know. Also, I don't know how long I'll be streaming. I just got a little bit of time right now, so I figured we'd go ahead and we'd just hit the stream while I got the time. I hit puberty there. Did you hear that? Hey, thanks, Hero. Actually, it's funny. The new style you're talking about, it could be anything. I've been experimenting for a while now, just jumping around. I just put up a new... When did we stream? We streamed a little while ago, and I was doing some chibi artwork. If you wanted to see that stuff, feel free to head over to jonathanrector.com. You guys can see all the stuff I'm talking about there. But, yeah, I've taken a little bit of break from comics. Do a little bit of soul searching, all that cheesy stuff. And... yeah, I made the decision a little while ago, and I might be repeating some of the stuff here from some of you that were already here before listening to me. So I apologize. But yeah, I sort of conceded that just working the day job was fine. Like, I'm happy there, happy doing all that good stuff. And then just kind of drawing for me, not necessarily trying to draw for a paycheck. And that came with some other... decisions that I had to make, and some, I don't want to say sacrifices, because that makes it sound way more, I don't know if I should say important, but just like it has more weight than it really should. But yeah, so I was going down that road, and, I was okay. I made the decision, I'm going to step away from comics for a little bit. After I was doing a little bit of those samples from Marvel and DC, I really wasn't enjoying it that much. It felt a lot like work, so, I'd go home after the full-time job, and I don't want to sound ungrateful at all. I'm totally grateful for everything I have, but at the same time, it was too much work, so I decided to just take a little step back and go, like, why? I had forgotten why I'd drawn, or why I had started drawing comics. I even stopped reading comics for a long while, too. I was working on JESOP there. A lot of that was just, there was no time really for doing anything other than just that. Anybody that does comics, you probably know exactly what the hell I'm talking about with the time devotion. What the hell's going on? We're going to have to fix this arm. There's a lot of jackness going on with it. But yeah, so it takes a lot of time, all that good stuff. And I just became content with, you know what? If I say goodbye to comics, at least for now, and just sort of fart around, we can see what's out there and just sort of play it a little bit more casual. In my mind, I didn't have to work as hard because I was fine working where I'm at, and I'm still fine working where I'm at. But anyway, super long story short, I guess. I just wanted to give you guys remember, you guys have been here for a while. You know how I ramble. But after a while, it just became, whatever. And then the itch really started hitting about 2 weeks ago. Just, comics and stuff. I picked up a couple of that Marvel Unlimited app, and I started flipping through that. I was seeing lots of what you guys do out there. You guys are posting and sharing stuff all the time. So thank you for contributing and putting stuff out there. It makes people like me, or I'm even sure some of you guys are watching stuff too, right? You guys get things from back and forth. Everybody feeds off each other with the art stuff. So anyway, yeah, so the itch was there, and I just had to do a little bit of, a little more reflecting now that I had taken a little bit of time off there, and it was just, I started to remember why, or what it was about comics that I had forgotten all that time ago. And really, it's at the core of it for me is it's always been a little bit of escapism. I get to just, square away a little bit of time throughout the week. Weekends are the best. and just draw what I'm drawing right now. Except I get to put a couple of these pictures next to each other and call it a story, right? And comics have always been that awesome thing that you can, you might not be the best storyteller, you might not be the best writer and all that stuff, but that's the best part about comics. It doesn't even really matter. Some people just like looking at cool art, or what you think isn't great storytelling. Somebody else might, and digital and the internet, all that good stuff lets us share it with everybody, right? So anyway, all that's to say is, I've been thinking a little bit last few days. Not last few days, sorry, I should say last couple of weeks. And thank you for those. I'm not going to call you out, but you all know who you are. Even if maybe some of you won't even watch this, but if you do, thank you for reaching out, checking in on me, and asking me about comics and all that stuff and what's been going on and all that. It's always nice to hear from people that that I've met through the YouTube and all that good stuff. I will say too, I know I just said I wouldn't call anybody out, but Donald, I don't know if he'll show up or anything, but Donald DeLay, you guys, I hope you remember him. He's one of the many of you that would just pop in when we were doing the weekly streams and all that stuff. So thank you, bud. You kind of shook me up a little bit and gave me some stuff to think about. So good stuff. Love the ribcage. Thanks, brother. Justin's busy designing games. Ooh, listen to you, buddy. Charlie, I used to watch this guy all the time, but then he started to become extremely confused about what he wanted to do with his life in I know, right? What a prima donna. Eric, how's it going, man? Glad to see you're still doing the comics and all that. Oh, Eric, you're actually working with Donald. Awesome. You see? You guys see? See what I'm saying? And I started noticing too. Oops, I'm running out of room in my room here. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, it sounds like pure chaos back here. We got the baby coming in about a month, maybe 6 weeks at the most. So the house is in a little bit of chaos in the little drawing room that I have here, which is really small. It's got a lot of boxes and stuff in there, so you guys will probably hear me huffing and puffing as I'm moving stuff around. All I wanted to do was move my chair. So, I don't want to commit to anything just yet. I've said this before. One of the best ways to get ideas, at least for me, is to draw. And that's what we're doing today. If you guys remember this guy, this was a dude. Let me open up a couple other pictures. I'm seeing if I could tie this in possibly too. Let's open this one. We will open that one. No. Just want to show you guys here. So a few of you guys have encouraged me to check out, and I've been doing that on the side. Hopefully you guys will see a little bit more. I ultimately, just to give you guys, I guess, another little rundown here, what I'm hoping to do is stream a lot more for you guys. Just like we were kind of doing back with JESOP King. Maybe not as intensive, but more streams for sure. As the main reason I stopped streaming was I just ran out of content to do. I like to just draw for myself, right? So just drawing with a blank sheet and just throwing something out there, it always felt like I was just taking it away a little bit. And when I was doing JESOP with you guys, there was loads of content to do. And even before then, when I was working with clients on comic book work, there's always work. That's the one beautiful thing, and the downside of comics, there's always work. Whether you're doing it for yourself or getting paid. So that's what we're going to be doing. But I want to flesh out a little bit of this guy, but I don't know where to go yet. But some of you were sharing some content with me that I need to dig a little bit more into, of just crowdfunding, which you guys have always pushed me towards. And I encourage people to do it, even though I've never done it myself. It just seems like there's a lot of really cool potential out there. And one of the models that I was told about was, I guess it's like almost releasing 2 48-page books a year, somewhere around there. And I'm not sure if I'm settling on something like that, but I need ideas. And JESOP King right now is on, it's already out there, the first story. You guys can read that. I'm not really interested in jumping back into it just yet. I've got loads of other ideas, and I figure this might be a good way to just sort of test that out. And again, that sort of goes into what I'm talking about, of just trying to figure out what to do. And for me, the best way to get ideas is just draw. We'll figure out the script and all that stuff as we go. I don't know if any of you guys in here, if you're watching the recording, if you guys have ever figured out any of your ideas just by drawing. You know, some people, I think a lot of artists anyway, if you keep sketchbooks or just doodles or whatever, it's one thing to just talk about a cool idea, but sketching it, you can kind of figure things out, you know, like little storytelling elements, or if there's even anything worth telling in there. So with this guy here, I need to flesh him out a little bit more, but I already have the idea of like what he is, and sort of, you know, there's loads of superheroes, so the trick always becomes, or there's possibly too many superheroes, but the trick always becomes, how do you add anything to like an oversaturated genre, you know? And I'm trying not to think about it too much, because I was remembering, or trying to remember anyway, what it was like when I was reading comics. Actually, here, let's try this here. When I was reading comics in the late 90s, early 2000s, and for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, what I always gravitated towards was just cool looking stuff. I wasn't like, I gotta read Captain America because I just love Captain America. But if the art was really slick, that's what I gravitated towards. What is it? F8? Yeah. So all that's to say, worrying about if, you know, I figure out a superpower that's never been done before, or an origin story that's never been done before, I'm not concerning myself too much with that. Hopefully the art will just sort of win people over. Not to say that, you know, it doesn't matter necessarily. But if I proved anything to myself with JESOP, it was 100% that just doing the work and worrying about all this stuff later, that's where you win. It's kind of like if you told like a zombie story or something, right? Like, how many different ways can you talk about humans surviving and things, where it's like it's never been told before. And I really don't think it matters too much. Anyway, so also the style too. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be doing this. This is sort of, I would say this is sort of my older style, or a more, in my mind, I call it a traditional comic book style. Hey Jay, sorry, I was rambling here, guys. Let me just catch up with you. Create now. How you doing, brother? I love that the thumb when you do the fist. Lovely. Oh, thanks, man. I'm pretty sure that fist is drawn wrong too. Just the way the angles are. I have to. I will say, one of the downsides of jumping all around with all the different styles that I've been farting around with is I've noticed that I've lost certain things. Like, I was trying to redraw Jessup the other day just for fun, and I was looking back at some of the inks that I did for the first comic, and I'm like, I can't do that anymore. There's certain lines in the way my, you know how I would always tell you guys, like, your visual library, you know, like, read your anatomy books, look at things, study things. If you can maintain a singular style and slowly build on it, I think that's the best way. I've been jumping around so much that I feel like I have a little bit more of a range. I can draw like the cute stuff, or like the whatever, the super detailed stuff. But the problem is I've forgotten. It's like, have you guys ever watched Hook, the old Hook movie with Peter Pan? I've forgotten what that's like. I forgot what it was to fly. So I'm kind of bouncing around. So some things feel alien, some things feel off. I'm sort of struggling to figure this guy out. But even the face, if you guys can kind of, if I just zoom in a little bit, this face to me feels a little more traditional comic book, whatever. We're going to do some rendering, which is what I'm practicing today with this, because if I can get the style down, I don't really mind it. I've been looking at a lot of Jim Cheung. What's the other guy? Oliver Coipel, Arthur Adams, that kind of stuff, right? Where all we're doing for rendering, right, is like, you know, like, where would we start here? Let's just say we're going to give them like this kind of thing, where it's a lot of that with some spot blacks. I really like that. I've always done stuff like that. But when I was looking at the JESOP stuff, you know, we were doing a little bit different. So I don't know. And then you look over on the right here, and thank you, Charlie, where you're saying this reminds you a little bit of a Kirby design character. 100% that stuff I was looking at. And then the more I looked at this guy, I'm like, he actually looks a lot more like JESOP. He's got the same sort of like traps set up here. He's got the circles on the side. So we'll see. We're still playing around with whatever. But the rendering and all that stuff is a little bit more, a little old school feeling. But this is a load of fun to do. So I've got to settle down and sort of like find. I don't want to say find myself again because that makes it sound so stupid. But just sort of like find the voice that I want to tell this story in. Because that's one thing I'm noticing that I don't want to give up is being able to draw in a whole bunch of different styles that I enjoy. That means that there's loads of different projects that I could that we could potentially do. So I'm leaning towards this first one for the crowdfunded stuff to be more superhero. Just because I think like right now I'm on a huge superhero kick, so may as well draw it while we got it. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to figure out a way to do something with this costume. But anyway, I'll get to what you guys are saying there. The one thing here that that I might not dig so much is that I feel like it's getting a little too tight. It's getting to that point where it's, I'm losing that feeling of just being able to do whatever the hell. And you guys might not even notice whatever I'm talking about there, but it feels that way anyway. There's always sketch time, 100%. Justin agrees. He gets all kinds of ideas as he sketches, my man. Here I'm making you want to drop. Sorry, dude. Great. Now, how you doing, brother? How you been? How you feeling? It's been so long since I've seen some of you guys here. Jay, how are you? I realize that I love the old style of comics. The more I look at the retro style, like Jack Kirby and old Batman, I start to fall more in love and more. I 100% agree. That's why I started doing like the stuff that you see on the right, or even this with like the dots on there. Like it was just fun to do. I mean, this is a little bit more extreme, I think. This one feels a little bit more tame. This one feels more like it's me. Like, I guess we'll say JESOP, with just a different rendering style, a little bit more fat, bolder lines. I like the power that this gives me where, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to stop because I want to keep these going. This is more for me to decide where we're going to go. But I see this, and this feels a little bit more like, again, real. Whereas this feels more fun to me. And I'm already getting the pull to go over here. This right here feels more, maybe you guys can relate to what I'm saying. This feels more like I'm trying to draw like somebody else. Hey, Darren. Welcome, man. Good to see you back. Thank you. Thank you for that, too. So I'm going to open it up to you guys, too, if you don't mind. Has anybody in here done crowdfunding? Successfully or unsuccessfully? Doesn't matter to me. If you even tried and it was unsuccessful, you've still done a lot more, and you're a lot more brave than I'll say for myself too, because it's definitely something that weighs on my conscience of like, should I do it? I'm questioning way too much stuff, and that's one thing I'm trying to get better at is less questions, less planning, we'll say, and more just doing, just getting back to kind of, I don't say the person that I was, but definitely when I was doing JESOP, I felt more like, and I said it a bunch to you guys, and I still stand by it. Oops, this is right there. Which is, instead of not doing something while you try to figure it out, you're better off to just keep doing something, like drawing, and then figuring it out as you go. At the end of the day, right, you're probably going to have a comic book. If you're doing comics anyway, right, you're going to have a book or something. There's going to be a couple pages next to each other. How you're going to, or what you're going to do with it once it's done, you'll eventually figure that out. Also, I'm not doing full body here. I know I drew it here, but we're going to sort of maybe go down and just give them little stubs. I have an idea of some rendering we can blend in there. Give them little chunks. let's turn this off here, just so I can see what we're working with. Put that up there, up there. We'll group all that. Turn that off. Cool. Let me just zoom in on my second monitor here, just so I can see what the hell we're drawing over here. Hey, no problem, Justin. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Charlie's 70s and 80s Marvel comics are the best ever. I agree. Like I said, I don't know if you guys have ever picked up the Marvel Unlimited stuff. I haven't picked up a paper comic or bought a paper comic. It's got to be at least 2 years that I can think of. And when I did, I started making the transition into just trade paperbacks as opposed to actual floppies. Just for me, it's just not my thing. I sort of got out of that. It just became too expensive. The reality, anyway. And then I heard about the Marvel Unlimited app, so I was checking that out. And to me, that's great, especially if you want to check it out. DC still doesn't have something for Canada anyway, so I'm kind of bummed out about that. I'd love to learn more about DC stuff. But anyway, yeah, so I resubbed to that, and just having like all those comics back is great. I was looking at a whole bunch of new stuff, and I don't know what it is. There's like some great artists now, but there's like a pocket, like I know last year, maybe the year before, it just felt like there was, I don't know, just things weren't that interesting, or things started getting like, to me, super convoluted and serious and real. Whereas, and I immediately went back to the 90s, just to go back to your point, and even the 80s. 80s was really good stuff too, but the 90s is when I was really in there, and the artwork and everything was just so over the top, and the stories were so, I don't know. I was reading a lot of X-Men stuff, and I didn't really feel like it felt like today or anything like that. It didn't feel like the 90s. It just felt like superheroes doing like some cool stuff. You know what I mean? And that's the sort of stuff that I'd like to keep doing more of. Like, if I end up doing a superhero comic here, right? That's the direction I'd like to go with that. And that's what I'm saying. When I'm looking at this guy already, this, to me, I got him in a hero pose and all that stuff, but it feels a little bit not in the same vein as what I think like a 90s comic would be, which would probably be more in this vein. I don't know. We'll see. It's good. I'm glad to be streaming with you guys as whenever I will be streaming, because you guys get to give me this feedback and ideas and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate it. Jay, I personally believe that the old retro books had this sort of simplicity, complexity. I like the way, I'll say that again. Simplicity, complexity. I like that. Some look almost so simple in drawing, but you know that a good draftsman drew it. Sounds weird, but I love it. I made a post I shared from, somebody posted on, what was his last name? Something Ham. I should find his name out. But I posted it on Facebook and Twitter if you guys wanted to check that out. And he had this really good phrase. Actually, you know what the hell am I doing? Let me bring it up. Let me go to Twitter. And I'll just bring it up for you guys in here. We're going here. Tweets. Okay. Make sure you guys can see it. So Jesse Ham, highly recommend following him. I just found him out. He posts like a load of stuff. But right here, this is a great example of what I enjoy anyway in the comic stuff. Is here's a peek of why artists can't draw 2+ pages a day anymore, right? Now, to be fair, they are penciled and stuff, but this to me looks like Captain America or whatever. And then this is Captain America. And what he's saying here is, it seems like a lot of people put a lot of love and adoration into draftsmanship, right? Whereas if you, and I mean, to me, it's about storytelling first and foremost. This bottom one feels great for covers. This one is all about, I don't know how fast you guys read comics, but I go through them pretty freaking fast. Rarely read them a second time. And just seeing this kind of stuff is, it makes sense. And the reason I shared it is because it resonates a lot with a lot of people, right? And I don't think one's better than the other at all, right? I think just like the way technology and efficiency and just learning your craft over time, people understand and they find shortcuts, and those shortcuts lead to extra time. And instead of moving on to do more pages, people spend more art or more time making a beautiful looking page. As artists, right? Like I'm sure most of us, when you draw a panel, you not only do you want to get that project done, right, but you also want to get in there and make a really cool looking page. And I feel like when you see this kind of stuff, it was really more eye opening. And again, I don't think one's better than the other; they're just different. Artistically speaking, though, I will say the 1978 one, to me, feels better than this bottom one. Even the comics that I've been flipping through from Marvel or whatever, even DC stuff, this bottom stuff, like, I almost skip a lot of it, like, rarely. And I see, like, a lot of the big event comics that they do is they'll find an artist that draws like this. I don't know the business side or the reasons behind it as to why, but, like, for me, I don't know. There's just more life, I guess, in this top one. But again, that's personal preference. But I thought this was just a really, really interesting thing that he was sort of saying there. And the rendering and stuff, right? Like, and again, I'm not trying to say that I'm nailing it here, but I was 100% on the right here, this colored version, looking at Kirby's work, just to try to have fun with the way he would render and try to understand a little bit more. It was more of a test. But I had a lot of fun doing this, and it was quick. You know, a good example here, actually, let me just zoom in and show you this. This cast shadow, which is what this is supposed to be, of his torso onto his bicep is wrong, right? Like, your bicep rolls this way, and then the shoulder rolls that way. This is supposed to, like, the shadow should probably go this way and roll a little bit that way. But if you take the ideology or the thought process behind what I just showed you, you know, just get it in there. Boom, done. You know, it's fast. You get the point of it. But what it does is these little things, and this is what I dig about it, these little ideas, they translate into more energy and more speed more quick. The more you look at this, I think the errors start popping up big time, right? Like, what the hell is this little jiggy jaggy thing? Your leg isn't full of sinew like this, right? But when you quickly look at it, and again, going back to how fast you look through a comic page, which is meant to be read, right? Back to back, I feel like a lot of this stuff, it just moves it along quicker. You know, it's get the eye here, zipping. But when you're looking at it more and more, the errors start popping out. And then some people like those errors and call it a cool style, right? How do you say it? Delijah? You rock, Jonathan. The only pro that uses Clip Studio. Oh, thank you for that, but there's loads of people using Clip Studio now. Loads of talent people. You guys all remember, and if you're new to the channel and you don't know, Will Robson, he just finished up his book with Spawn with Todd McFarlane, and he's a Marvel artist as well. He's got a new book coming out. You guys can check that out. But he uses Clip Studio on an iPad. That man has evolved. What's the guy? Damn. Let me get it for you there, Hero. Sorry, guys. Eat up. Let me check that again for you. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. Hey, Aaron, how are you? How do you draw a fight scene when you are doing comics? Oh, man, we're going back in time now to figure this out. I love the 1978 style. Right on. Jesse Ham, thank you, brother. So how do you draw a fight scene when doing comics? Aaron is asking. Okay, what I would recommend, because that's it's a loaded question, because there's too much in that. Okay, if you have an example of something that I could take reference from, and we could quickly do a thumbnail version of a fight, just let me know. We could do that. So if you have an example, right, we could do that. Off the top of my head, real quick, what I would recommend doing when you're doing a fight is there's a lot of things to keep into consideration, like what's the point? Sometimes is the villain the primary thing? Is just the spectacle of the fight the thing? Those sorts of back and forth. Those things all actually matter a lot. It's not just, okay, one person goes here, one person goes there. Put a fist in the foreground because it's, that's foreshortening and that's how that goes. Like, that stuff is true, but there's a lot more work that goes into just sort of figuring that out. So if you could help me out and give me an example or something, we might be able to figure something out here. Okay. Come on. All right, so now we're going to do some inking. And I'm wondering, just sort of because we're talking and I'm kind of liking this fat kind of inking style. All right, we're going to do this how we've always done it. And we'll sort of retrofit it here. Okay, so let's go here. We're going to close all the lines. You guys remember how we do this? I'm going to ink over some of this to clean it up. Just want to close all the lines. So one of the superhero, or like what I imagine this guy to be, is something that I don't really notice, at least, and again, I don't read all the comics in the world, but like the Superman in the Captain America style hero is where I would definitely be writing this guy. You know, the person we all wish we could be. I know a lot of people really like Batman, and I'm not going to say, you know, anything bad against Batman, but I am 100% a Superman fan over a Batman fan, only because of that, you know, the, what's a good way of saying it? The idea of just somebody to look up to aspire, somebody that's not better, but just pushes us to always try to see the best in situations, to me is more interesting. I know Superman, in a lot of cases, right, he's just overpowered. Had he beat a guy that's almost perfect, right? But at the same time, I like the simplicity of him. You know, he's never going to not be Superman. And those stories where he becomes not Superman, you know, where he's not the optimist and all that stuff, I've never been really a fan of that. But to me, and I know again, I'm saying the same thing over and over again here. I know where that can be super boring to people because there's no drama necessarily. But that's where I would be going with this. To me, that's kind of like a superhero. Kind of falls under the Superman pedigree. Save this up here. Jay, I was born in 2000. Oh, wow. Damn, you're young. And I was introduced into comics with old 60s and 70s books. I love Fantastic Four and, of course, original X-Men. There's such dynamic poses. Conan and Tarzan a good figure. So, okay, let me ask you this, Jay, because this, to me, is kind of interesting. Now that you're younger, right? So that you how old are you then? If you're born in 2000, you're 19. That's it. Jesus, you got a long life ahead of you, my friend. Do you prefer old comics because you think you grew up reading them first, or do you prefer modern comics, visually, storytelling and stuff? Maybe let me just clarify this. When I mean older comics, to me they're more simple. There's the bad guy doing something bad, and not that new comics don't do that, but it's pretty much like the team figuring it out amongst themselves. You know, like it's almost like Saturday morning cartoons as old ones. Do you prefer that kind of stuff, or do you prefer your superheroes to be a little bit more like the modern day stuff, where they're dealing with, I don't want to say politics and stuff like that, but you know, real world things? I suppose the good example would be like Civil War. I know that's not representative of all modern comics, but like the Civil War stuff, where it's superheroes need to be registered, they don't need to be vigilantes. Like I love Civil War, I think it was great, but I'm just curious from your perspective. And then I'll give my feedback a little more in there. Hey MC, how are you? Original Superman is the best, like the 30s, 40s version of him. Sadly, I don't even. I know I was just talking all about Superman. I don't think I've read that far, like the original stuff. My Superman was. I think most of it just comes from the idea of Superman, as well as again the '90s, but not like the death of Superman, all that crap. Okay, we're gonna put some spot blacks in here first, and we'll start to figure out. So probably his hand would be a little bit more. You know what? Let me close this. I don't want to have too much going on over there. Charlie, give me a 1987, 88 written and drawn any day. Just the covers, 67, 80 is the best stuff. I think I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I think I'm starting to really go that direction too. I think when I was younger, if I saw Kirby, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. And I've said this a whole bunch of times. The Joe Madureira was the guy that got me even looking. No, that's not true. I think the very first was Jim Lee when it was like X-Men. It was that sick wraparound cover from the 90s. I didn't even know it was this. I was just super young. Where on the right was the sickest looking Magneto, and I didn't even know anything about Magneto, but that cover alone was insane. Then you have Wolverine and Cyclops, and on the back it's like Xavier and Beast, and all those guys. That comic was insane. I read that, I read that so much, but it was so cool to look at. And then I think once I started getting into my own stuff, I started going into. I thought Spawn was really cool. That seemed like such a departure from like comics. Spider-Man, definitely remember Spider-Man. Captain America, 100%. A buddy of mine, he was collecting more Captain America because I think I told you guys this before. Spawn wasn't allowed in the house. His family was very hyper-Christian. So the idea of anything that could be perceived as satanic, like no way, Jose, right? So there was that. Anyway, so that's how I got introduced into Captain America. It was through him, and I think it was like during like the Heroes Reborn stuff. And I've come to find out later that Heroes Reborn, JESOP, come on, man, come on, take a hike. That the Heroes Reborn stuff, I guess, isn't really that good. I liked it. I didn't know that it wasn't that good. But yeah, that's the stuff I liked. And then, wait, what the hell's going on here? Oh, he hit the cats. What the hell's going on? Anyway, once I started getting into comics and stuff like that, that's when I started looking at like some of the older people. But it still took a while to kind of appreciate that stuff too. But now I think it's. I heard another person to me sum it up pretty well, where it was like the more you draw, and this isn't everybody, but a few people I should say, the more you draw, the more you kind of appreciate simplicity. And you kind of change your process of how you draw. So even if you're like a hyper detailed person, you might find ways of streamlining a little bit of that. And I think that's where I really start to appreciate like the Kirby's and those cats, because how much they draw, and they streamline their system to get it to where it is now. So it's good stuff. Jay, the modern comics are starting to look overdone, and the stories sometimes get harder to follow. I am burnt out of the books today. I find the cool, simple ideas and stories more appealing. I don't know. You know what, Jay? What you're saying, I don't know how much you represent your age group, but I feel that way as well. I'm reading like stuff on, again, I'm not trying to promote the Marvel stuff, but I just keep talking about it. I do think it's worth checking out for those that are interested, but like I'm reading some of the newer stuff, and burnt out is a really good description. Like even the old books, there's loads of writing, but I don't know. It just felt different, I suppose. And maybe you're right. It's just, I think maybe the entertainment value of current comics, they just feel too much like today. There's a lot of real world stuff going on, and maybe the older you get, you're just tired of hearing it all the time. And you're only 19, so I don't know how the hell that works, but we're gonna give this guy the traditional big ass jawbone. Oops, no, go back. And see, like already, I'm already telling you guys, like, this is fun to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm having fun already, but I don't think this is where I'd want to go with my superhero stuff. It just feels too, I don't know. Like the shadow already, the face just increases drama. Yeah. And everything I'm saying right now is like anti-drama. But we're gonna keep drawing because whatever, drawing is fun. But I want to go through the mistakes to find out, like, you know what, this looks cool. But is this what I want to do, or let's go back to the more fun stuff and just whatever is gonna keep me more engaged, I suppose. Charlie, my first comic was Tom McFarlane's Hulk. I can't speak. Number 340 and GI Joe Comics. Wow, wow. Dennis, check out Black Science or the Descender series or Rumble. Best stuff is not from DC or Marvel. I've always agreed with that. I think the thing is with Marvel and DC, most of us grew up on that stuff. Or I mean, it's superheroes, right? And most of us in here, we don't mind superheroes. It's cool looking artwork and it's imaginative. At least I'll speak for myself. And that's why I keep going towards the superhero stuff. But I would be lying to you if I didn't agree that, how many times can Peter Parker not make his rent? And then I was even reading, get this, like, and I understand making things modern and all that, but like, I don't know, to me it just seems weird. But like Peter Parker, and he could have had this a long time ago, but I'm just starting to catch up on it. He's like in charge of like Parker Labs or something. It's almost like he's an Iron Man or something. And I just don't understand. I don't know. It's storytelling, right? Spider-Man's story has already been told. Now it's just different people adjusting it and all that. But whatever. Anyway, I know we're going all over the place. But anyway, Pillowhead, welcome. How you doing, brother? Are you still in the animation game? I know I asked you before, but my crappy memory. Okay, so we're going to just keep spotting some blacks here. We'll add some quick rendering. Okay, so if we got black space here, we can bring some, let's get a nice cut line in here like that. All of this is going to get covered in shadow. Alright, let's fill it in, take a look. Cool. Probably soften this up a little bit. You're transitioning to comics. It's easier. Hey, no offense, no, none taken, man. I agree. Remember, in case you forgot, I was in animation in college, and I dropped out because I was like, screw this. For me, like, when I see animation, awesome. Doing animation, nah, kill me. It's brutal. Hey, see you, Hero. Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you again. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. My God, what's going on with this chair? Let's try that. Jay, politics now also makes the stories kind of weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I remember my favorite books being Batman Nightfall. I remember just going to the library reading comics there at age 12. You're my hero, dude. Hero, if anyone here wants to connect on Instagram. Yeah, okay, yeah. So check out Hero at Hero Artist. HaroArtist. He's got a massive following on Instagram. June Tune's coming up too, brother. Yeah. Okay, see him. Pillowhead, I like doing it, but I'm losing. Hey, okay. I feel your pain, man. I agree, comics are easier than animation. Plus, you get to do, I don't know, it's still images, right? So, a lot of the stuff that you would normally be doing, you can kind of cut a lot of that time away, which is great. Hey, Jojo. So, how's the comic stuff going then? Let's get some. One of the first superhero comics I read was Superman 5 versus Ali. Oh, that blew my mind. Pillowhead. Comic I see is storyboarding. Yeah. It's good. Just started to tell you the truth. Hey, no problem, man. There's a lot of parallels for sure with storyboarding and comics, but they're, and I know you're not saying this, but they are radically different. I had a couple friends that they wanted to transition into comics because they were doing storyboards, and they found out, like most people, right? Comics aren't as easy as that, especially if you want people to read them. That's where it gets super challenging. What do you want, Jessup, huh? What do you want? You just want attention? But, I mean, I'm not trying to discourage you or anything like that. I hope you knock it out. Most importantly, as long as you're having fun. Right? At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Hey, Jojo. So I'm doing some pretty loose blacks here. I'm still doing GIF animations for people just got my first YouTube intro. Oh, right on, dude. I'm still doing animation, just not extensive. Okay, yeah, like not like shorts and stuff. Let's do this the way I should have been doing it. So nobody in here has done any crowdfunding for their comics or anything? Has anybody or does anybody in here want to do that? And or is anybody in here taking steps to do that? I only ask out of curiosity because I'm feeling that's the direction we're going to go with this next project. And just feel it out. See what happens, get some experience from it, and build. So I'm just throwing a net out there for those of you that were brave enough, excited enough to do it, just to hear your experience. All right, let's add some rendering to the package. We'll go here. We're just gonna do like some simple stuff here. We can fix it all up after anyway. Alright, so black. Whatever happened to Jessup? Well, I finished his first story. The second issue is already plotted out and fully thumbnailed, I believe. But I decided to step away from comics, and the itch has come back. So now we'll see, I'm returning. But I'm taking a stab at either Indiegogo or Kickstarter, and I don't think Jessup is right for that. It's already started, that book, and I'd rather just start fresh with something else. If that makes sense. Alright, yeah, there's just way too much drama in this with all this kind of rendering kind of stuff here. Alright, let's add some rendering here. Pillars wanted to start a Patreon, but you're hesitant. Okay, no, hey, dude. Why are you hesitant to start? I'll tell you guys this. A couple things that have happened in my life I'd say this month. And I started to take this advice. It's super hard to take or to act on. And it's going to be one of those things that over time, hopefully I'll get better at. But really just start acting on decisions, like smart decisions, Don't just be impulsive. But like if you want to make something, if you want to make a Patreon, if you want to do a Kickstarter, if you want to make a comic, just start making and doing those things ASAP and then course correct as you go. If you've been meaning to tell somebody something that will help, just say it. Don't wait. Don't make some magical moment out of it. Nothing. Just go, do it, and move on. That kind of stuff. It's been tremendous for me anyway. I don't know if that'll help you. Jay, I like stylized art a lot more, but I love anything Street Fighter, Marvel, Capcom. But growing up in elementary, all we would talk about was Dragon Ball Z. Hell yeah. Capcom is one of my favorite video game studios. At least it was back in the day when they had Bengal and all those really cool guys working for them. I think they still do commission work, but it's not the same. Okay, so let's start on this side. What I like about this rendering here is that it's simple, but it's really effective. I like this sort of simple line art look with a lot of stuff. Hey Lawrence, how you doing, brother? Welcome back. Pilot, I feel like crowdfunding is like a homeless man begging. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I don't know. I just gotta get out of the mindset. No, there's a reason you think that. I'm not gonna tell you if it's right or wrong. Maybe one thing I could add to you to maybe might make you think, I'll say different, but maybe something you haven't considered is, so now that you're doing comics, right? What do you plan on doing with your comics? Do you want to sell them? Do you just want to put them online as a PDF for people to buy? Are you going to drop $2 to $5 grand to get them printed and then go to conventions to sell them and stuff? And I'm not trying to fearmonger you into anything, but maybe think of it this way. So if you're going to make your comic and sell it, let's say, to me, one of the cool things about the Kickstarter, all the crowdfunding stuff is you're just getting people to buy it already. You don't have to worry about going to conventions necessarily to try to make your money, right? You could still do the whole comic. I recommend having the thing finished, but some people, they want to like quit their job so they could do the thing, right? So if that's your situation, that's a little different. But imagine your story's done, all 20 or 50 or 150, 250 pages of it, right? So it's all done. And now all you wanted to do is get the money to get it printed so you can get it to people. So when you have a Kickstarter or whatever, right, you're just asking people like, hey, if you're interested, just back and I'll worry about everything else. Once she's printed, it'll get mailed to you. For me personally, like when I think of it that way, like it doesn't come across as like e-bagging. Because it'd be no different if I was at a convention trying to get you to buy it. And I'm yelling at you in the hallway or something, or you're walking past my booth, right? And I'm trying to get you to come closer so I could give you the pitch. Lawrence, hey, I thought you were going to do a chibi of Jesse King. I can't even name my own guy. One of the ideas I had was, the chibi stuff I still enjoy doing. I do a lot of that at work, and I have a lot of fun, a lot of it. There's a couple more drawings I have to do before I totally move away from it. Not that I am, but so yeah. The thing is that I'm not saying this is what I enjoy doing more, but I've got the itch to do some more comics and stuff, and that itch I've been drawing more, and the more I draw, it's like the less like I draw at work. So just to give you guys a little bit of, I guess, some context there to that is, so when I decided to kind of step away from comics for a little while, just to sort of relax and figure things out and just take it slow, I was getting into board games and video games and all that. But you can't take the want to draw out of somebody that's an artist. I'm sure most of you guys can relate to that. And the chibi stuff gets a lot of reactions from people. Like, a lot of people dig it, and I'm extremely grateful for that. It's hard enough to get people to like what you do at all, and the feedback that I've been getting for the chibi stuff has just been great. So what I was considering doing was, well, maybe, I could kind of do two birds with one stone kind of thing, and do JESOP in that chibi style. That way I could just do little, like, JESOP King Adventures Will and I joked about. And I was drawing a couple poses of them and stuff like that, and it was fine. But when I would look back at, like, the JESOP stuff that we already did, I'm like to me, that it just looks better. So I decided to just move away from that, as opposed to putting any kind of resources or time into it. Dennis, crowdfunding is cool if you ask me. The problem is getting noticed. Oh yeah, that's the hardest part. I was talking about Donald earlier, and he hit me up with a link. Actually, here, I'll get you guys the link as well for those that are interested. And if you're watching the recorded version, I'll do my best to describe it for you. So let me go through my history here and grab the link for you guys. Just give me a second. This was a few days ago. It's a lengthier video. I think it's like 20 minutes or probably more. And I will say too, a lot of the Indiegogo stuff and the successful campaigns, I noticed, and I just started to take take this stuff a little bit more seriously, to find out more information, to get a little more educated on it. A lot of the success on there is from Comicsgate. And I'm not going to give a stance on either one. Personally, I don't care one way or the other. But I think it would be a little bit silly to say that it doesn't help facilitate how much money some of these people are making. So if you are part of Comicsgate, or if you agree with what they say and stuff, again, I don't care either way. And you promote that, especially on Indiegogo, I think you'll just that alone will get you some stuff. Get you some attention, which is great. But 100% attention is the fundamental thing we all got to get if you're doing any kind of crowdsourcing, right? And luckily for me, I mean, I have the YouTube channel and stuff like that, so that definitely helps. What the hell? Did I pass it? Let me just go here. But I'm assuming most of you guys all have some sort of presence online somewhere. So that has to definitely be like just making something and putting it on somewhere and expecting success. I think is it's silly. You got to put in a little bit of work, right? And the more work you put in, theoretically, the more you get out. I don't think it'd be this hard to find it. Sorry. No, it's not these. Not these. How far back do I gotta go? Sorry, guys. I hate leaving you guys hanging here. All right. Maybe if I just search what I think it's called. See if that brings it up. Does that bring it up? No. Frick's sakes. Okay, let me check out one more thing here. Just want to hook you guys up. Because I'm hoping you guys can get some value out of it like I did. You can take what this guy says. Again, Comicsgate one way or the other. Doesn't really matter. There's definitely, there's good things that can be learn from everything here. Okay, so let me hit share. Okay, so if you're watching the recorded version, I'm going to paste this in the chat. I guess, I'm pretty sure the recorded version, you can see these links in the chat on the right. But what you're going to look for is how a total nobody raised $25,000 for a comic by Sweetcast. Okay, that's how a total nobody raised $25,000 for a comic by Sweetcast. Let me just find the stream here. I'm just going to post it in there. And bang, there you go, guys. You guys can, oops. I'll double post in case that didn't work. He's kind of got some rules that he kind of followed. But what the super exciting part is that I got from that was that he didn't have a big following anywhere. But there's some steps you can make to do it. And I think it's great because if anybody wants to try doing this thing, if you're more in like Pillowhead's kind of feeling, where it's like he maybe feels a little bit more shady about it, that I don't think it'll answer any of those questions. But if it's something you're interested in, I think it's wise to at least put it in the background. You might learn something. It's 20 minutes. Put it on like 2 times speed. It's 10 minutes, right? You might get some value out of that. But yeah. One of the big thing, I'll let you guys watch it. But I watched that, and it kind of opened my eyes to some possibilities and things, at least to try. So, yeah. Let me just get up here. Dimitri, how's it going, brother? So many businesses have financial backers, investors, and we don't judge them. But Lord forbid an artist wants financial backing to create a project. Yeah, it's a little different. It can feel a little different. I think a lot of artists, we just want to draw. We don't want to be the business person as well, right? Jay, I don't know, but it seems like everyone in schools today know more about manga and anime way more than Western comics today. Manga sales seem to be skyrocketing. The movies help, but no, you're 100% right. I remember that. I think it was 7 years ago. I was listening to maybe it was 10 Art and Story somewhere around there. Jersey Joe's. I've talked about him a bunch of times, and he teaches. I don't know if he still does, but a lot of students. He would always talk about comics, and a good chunk of them they were all like manga readers and stuff. So. There's definitely that. And then, hell, look at even on your phones, Tapastic and stuff. The stuff that does well on there is, anime and manga looking stuff, not necessarily Western kind of traditional superhero comics, we'll call them. If you do Jessup and Chibi style, do the Sunday comic challenge. I don't know what that is. What website? Sorry, what link was that, Pillowhead? Charlie, I think the comic artists really love SJWs because they mad at comic artists. Oh, look who's here. Donnie has made the appearance. So I was talking a little bit about you a little bit earlier. Just sort of the stuff we were kind of talking about crowdfunding and all that, and just wanted to see if anybody in here had started any of that stuff and if they had any thoughts or opinions on that too. Donnie's saying the reason manga does so well is because it's large chunks of stories and it's just dope action, a good story. Yeah, I agree. I'd agree with that too. We made okay. Actually, just to piggyback off that, thanks Donald. By the way, is if you guys remember, or I say if you guys remember, like everybody was here during every Jessup King stream. Like, get real. But one of the things I was noticing, I was releasing, I think it was 3 pages a week, or maybe it was 2 pages a week. And I was all over the place. Tapastic, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. The main website. Anywhere I thought people would be on the internet, um, you could read it there. I was trying to go to where the people were, right? And the numbers, at least, and I don't even remember all of them, but they were okay. And I wasn't expecting anything miraculous. But one of the questions that I kept asking myself was, I have to imagine, and this plays into like what Donald's saying there, that comics is no different than any other medium, right? And how do we consume media today? It's as much as you want whenever you want it. People hate waiting week to week for stuff. A new series comes out on Netflix, boom, that shit's done in a weekend, right? And I'm not saying people won't wait, but people prefer not to wait. So if you're making content and people beside you are just releasing content like double the speed you're doing it and it's good, or maybe it doesn't even have to be good, it just has to be interesting to people, right? I'm not going to fault people for liking what they like. So that made me just think like, okay, well, when I do Jessup now, I think that old style, at least for me, of releasing X pages a week, it's probably not wise to do that anymore. And I never ended up doing Jessup King, the second issue, right? But it was 100% going to be the same way. That's why I lowered the amount to like 22 pages an issue. That way I could hammer them out theoretically faster and get issues and chunks to people. And I have to imagine that would have paid off big time. The Sunday Comics Challenge is do a story in 3 to 7 panels. It has to have a start, middle, and an end. Interesting. Oh, okay. So sort of just like the old school Sunday comics. Okay, that makes more sense. Sadly, I think the Lawrence anyway. A lot of those challenges and stuff I did when I was younger because I had the time to do it. Now between work and whatever, it's like I'd rather spend that time. I'd rather spend that time making a project. If you had talked to me like a month ago, when I wasn't kind of in the mindset of, okay, now we're gonna get back into doing this kind of thing, and I had a little bit more free time, 100%, I would have joined you. I would have jumped right in. But if you're doing it, I wish you all the luck. Have fun too. Okay, see you, Pillowhead. Thanks for popping in, man. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Dennis, do you guys follow Sketchcraft? 100%. That guy's amazing. I've been on his show a couple times, and we've chatted a little bit. I haven't kept in contact as much. Again, once I stopped doing comics, I sort of like left the, I'll call it the scene for a good while. I just got bored. Man. Not of the people in it, just burnt out. His video on digital ink settings has really sped up my inking. Would be curious to see if Jonathan would try it out. Can you post a link, Dennis? I'd like to see it. Unless, are you talking about the one where he goes into the channels and it almost adds like a little bit of a thickness to random lines? That one? Hey, Lewis, how you going? How you doing? What the hell am I saying? How you going? What? All right, so this one's kind of coming along. It's got whatever the hell's going on. I'm starting to feel like, I don't know. We might try the Kirby stuff. I call it Kirby stuff. I shouldn't do that. It's not worthy. But one of the benefits of digital, right, my friends, is this. You just go, boom. All right, let's try a fresh new start. And for the familiar, or the not the familiar, the new faces in here, or the people just coming in a little bit later, what we're doing, or at least what I'm doing here, I don't know how long we'll be streaming for. I just got a little pocket of time, so I figured I would do it. A couple friends have reached out and told me about crowdfunding, and I think we're going to try it out. And I've had a couple of ideas over the years of, just things to try or stories that I'd like to tell, just fun. And I think this might be a good one to start with. But the trick is, as I haven't fully written anything yet, right? So for me, what I like to do to get stories, or ideas anyway, is just draw. I can figure out sort of plots and, villains, and I can learn a lot about a character just by drawing them. The more I spend time with this guy, or a design of him, or something like that, I could find, for me anyway, things just start creeping up in my mind where it's like, you know what? There is a story there. Or the opposite, right? There isn't. And the sooner I can figure that out, the better. Things when I get into that mode myself of, okay, this might be a project to work on, then I just notice that I let the brain take over, and it starts setting things up for me to figure all this stuff out. So I'll start noticing things like things will pop up in feeds online, Pinterest or Instagram and stuff like that. People, and this is the amazing part, people will just start messaging me out of the blue, and things will be related, things will make sense, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing. But in particular, I just don't know the style to draw in just yet. One of the main problems of me jumping around in styles so much is that I kind of get lost. I imagine if I was, let's just say, we'll go back to comics. If I was doing comics full time, the idea of changing styles a whole bunch doesn't really make much sense because you're getting paid to draw in a certain look and a style, right? So you just get better at doing that. At least I found that to be the case. And this sort of rendering with this line stuff, I've been on a huge kick with, but I just feel like it's not. I don't think I want to do a whole book like this. It's starting to, the fun's not. It's starting to disappear. More like a cross hatching, right? Like, all in here looks like shit. Let's just erase all that. That doesn't look good. I'm just muddying it all up. Manga have interesting ways to mix up genres and art, play with everything in the whole industry and get rewarded. Death Note and Baki the Grappler. Maybe that is the appeal. Any insight? It could be. I mean, I don't know enough of the industry like that to know the trends as to why people like things. People like weird stuff, man. And I don't want to try to be that guy that's on the pulse of what people like and then make something that they like. I'm a little bit more of an art purist in the terms of you know what you like, just make it the best you can, and hopefully there's people out there that like what you like. Sadly, the reality of that though is you could live your whole life where a lot of people don't know what you do, just because you just draw. Let's say you do furries or something, or I don't know, like zombie. You just love zombie plants for some weird reason. And that's what you draw, but like it just never catches on. You know what I mean? Or you could go online, you can find out things that are trending and popular, and start catering what you do towards that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's potential for maximum growth that way, because you're catering to what theoretically the audiences want, right? So if you look at trends anywhere, there's a lot of movement in that space, and you become more flexible to what the masses are looking for, if that makes sense. So you just got to kind of know what it is that you like. And to bring this back to like your question about like manga, I feel like manga is just another form of that. There's so much of it. It's another medium that tells story, right? And luckily, people enjoy reading. Some people anyway. And that gets you a little bit of flexibility, and you can start reaching people that might not like what you do. Plus the internet, right? So maybe you do like furry plant zombies, right? And you're making comics of that. There could be people out there that are into that stuff, right? And because of the internet, you get like an option to connect with those people. So long as you're doing some sort of effort or work to put yourself out there to make yourself findable by these people. You know what I mean? Donnie, my man. So what's this character's deal? This was that Kirby inspired hero you designed, yeah? I don't remember if you went into story. I did not go into story detail for him. Actually, that's what we're going to be jumping into next here. I'm just kind of noodling right now. But this is this guy. This kind of look. The power of the God Eyes. God Eyes is the only thing that I have. I thought it just sounded cool, and this was me trying to learn how to do Kirby crackles and stuff. Sorry, I'm getting like... My legs are starting to piss me off. Sitting all day. Just 1 second. Let me just raise my desk here. You guys are probably here in the background. So our conversation of the day has made me think a lot of just stuff, right? And this was one of those ideas that I think has some potential. So what I like to do, this is sort of what I was talking about earlier, and I just kind of talked about it a little bit, is for me, when it comes to trying to find ideas and see if there's anything worth telling, I got to spend some time with them. I got to sketch. I got to do some stuff, and then I can start going into how I normally write. Grab 3 note cards, beginning, middle, and end, and then just start going from there. But I need to find out who this guy is. And I'm also playing with some style stuff. So I wanted to fiddle around a little bit with this cross-hatching. I think it looks good. I don't think there's anything like, there's some stuff. It's questionable. I'm not looking at it as in terms of that. Even the face, to me, is a little bit more polished than I think we would go. The anatomy, for me, could just be blown out a little bit more. You guys know how much I like the blown out stuff. But let me actually just get... Let me just close all this stuff here. Alright, let's just move it over here. That's one on the side. We're going to try some of this old stuff. I got to be honest, and I said this earlier too, is this kind of stuff, like I have not read, and a lot of old stuff, I'm not like massive, like I don't get like super like pumped when I see it. I'm just like, oh my god, old stuff is it. Just like Kirby and other cats that are just really good. It's just, I don't know, I feel different when I read those things. So that's why I'm kind of drawn to it more so nowadays. Even though I have a feeling that not most, but I would get a bigger audience, we'll say, if I kind of adopted a different style more akin to what's current. But I could be wrong. I don't know. And again, that's me trying to chase trends and things, and that I don't think that's, I don't know, appropriate, at least for what I'm doing. All right, does this fit all on the screen? Okay. This eats up so much real estate on the right here, eh, guys? Damn. Okay. Let's just minimize that. Jay, I think now it's pretty easy to build an audience. You have platforms like YouTube, Twitch. You just gotta have the courage to post. You are right, and Donnie, he'll tell you 100%. And I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but is daily content is always great. When I was doing JESOP, I was noticing channel growth and all that stuff too, and it's true. You know, every day if you're posting stuff, websites like activity. And the more activity you can provide, it just helps out their business, right? So if you think of YouTube as a business, it makes money because people watch it like TV, right? And if that's the case, then they're going to promote people that get attention and keep making... and then can keep it. That's all it is. If you guys ever listen to like Gary Vaynerchuk or any of those kinds of people, more so him. There's not too many people that talk quite like him, but you know, they'll tell you the number one commodity is time and attention. That's all you got to do. If you can figure a way to give people more time, meaning you make a product where, like, let's say Uber, for example. I don't know if this is true. I've never used an Uber, but I have to imagine, you guys could clear it up if I'm wrong, that people pick Ubers just because they're quicker than cabs. Maybe they're cheaper. I don't know. Or maybe people just don't like cabs. I don't know. But that's just an example of, like, if you can make people save time, they're willing to pay for it. How the hell did we get talking about that? Where did I jump? Oh, right, I was talking about audience and... Fuck. Man. One thing I always liked about drawing with this kind of stuff is it reminds me a little bit of like JESOP, where it's a little bit quicker. I'm a big fan of that. I'm just going to need to spend some more time looking at the old guys and inking things up and finding certain things. I think right now my brush is too big. Let's grab a smaller one. And another thing too, when you're trying out style stuff here, is like, it's one thing to draw a guy like I'm doing, but you gotta draw like this isn't a comic, right? This is a guy drawn in like a comic book style. Two totally different things. So the reason I say that is you got to see what works when you're drawing comic books. You know, like all the things I'm trying to figure out right now, of like line weights and stuff, we'll say. Who knows what the hell that looks like when it's like in an actual comic book. There's problems you'll have to solve once you get in the shit, we'll say. What do we have? We had like little circles over here. Donnie's saying engage with your audience, and your audience will engage with you. Your YouTube, and YouTube will engage with you, recommending your vids to people. It's 100 beneficial circles centered around the content creator. And he is right. Dennis, that's why I thought of the Sketchcraft video, speeding up the inking. Yeah, sorry, Dennis, do you have a link, or what is that called? I can search for it, just so I can check it out. Ben, John, I'm occupied with RimWorld right now, and I'm glad to see that. What is RimWorld? And thank you, Ben, thank you. Lewis, I would love to see that Jessup and him team up. They're different guys. Oh, you posted the link above. I don't think I saw a link. Let me scroll. Yeah, I didn't get a link, man. Did you send it somewhere else or did you send it here? Jay, on YouTube, I find out people love to support controversial issues. The more you talk about the trending, you get a larger fan base. I think everyone is becoming a reaction channel. I don't know for real. Actually, Donnie, you want to talk to that? He was talking to me about that. I think, no, I 100% think you're right. Look at it this way. This is the easiest way to look up stuff, okay? Okay, let me go back to okay, I gotta make sure I'm still drawing. I'm looking out the window knowing I'm gonna go to a ramble. This discussion was talked about by friends of mine back when I was doing the standard and stuff. When we were like, man, you know how long we slaved to do backgrounds and they just speed through comics and blah, 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 right? Just, everybody talks shit at their job or whatever they're doing. So it's no different when you do comics. You're just going to, if you're doing full-time comics, you're going to find Discord channels nowadays or something or Skype, and you're going to talk to other people that are just sitting at home doing comics too, right? Like, just the way it's going to go. So we were talking about that kind of stuff, and inevitably we just went down to like, should we just like, what are we drawing all this for? We're not making as much money and blah, blah, blah. You know what we could do? We could just draw porn comics under a pen name and nobody would know, and you'd make so much money. Like, that's where the attention is, right? Like, I'm trying to draw superheroes for indie comics, and no, like, who reads indie comics? I don't know. We got to try to find these people. Pretty sure they go to conventions. Like, that's a lot of work, right? But there's like so many porn channels and stuff, right? Now, ethics aside and things like that, I don't care what you like or whatever. I'm not going to start, making comments one way or the other, what's right or wrong. But at the crux of that, it was trying to find or realizing that wherever the most people are, if you can put yourself in there and keep yourself there, you're just going to grow 100%. That's never going to change. To what you're saying, and Donnie was talking about this, so we were talking about this the other day, which is, and I agree, YouTube, for better or for worse, for me it's worse, because the one thing I hate, or I don't hate, I give zero shits, guys. Like, I don't care about celebrities, like, at all. I don't care about drama. I don't care about somebody calling somebody a name. If it's somebody I know, and if it affects my real world, I care. But other than that, like, drama's the last. I make art, and when I was doing comics more heavier, I do that stuff to get away from the real world. I don't want to spend my entertainment time like still drowned in that stuff. Just me, okay? However, YouTube, again, for better or for worse, you might like this stuff, so God bless, encourages this. Like, it pushes this stuff. I've seen so many channels that just jump up now that are just that. And you might agree with like what their message is and stuff, and that's fine too. There's lots of content out there for people, for you to like things and for you to hate things. It's just the way the world works. So how does like a comic book artist fit in that? And then a great thing is have a commentary on it. Just say your piece. For me, that's what I got to start to figure out because, like, again, Donnie and I, we were talking, and he's right. He's not wrong at all. This goes back to like what I was saying with the Gary Vaynerchuk stuff. It's all the same. Everybody's going to pay for your 2 cents, right? Some people hate it, some people like it, but if you're gonna play the game on YouTube, that's right now that's the game. And if you don't like that, then maybe check out Instagram or maybe like other places, right? But you just have to be aware where you're going for and what you're trying to achieve and what the point of what you're doing is. If you're just trying to get people to subscribe to you, I don't necessarily know if that's the right thing to do. Right? Like, let's say I'm doing comic books, I'm making criticisms about what would be popular now. I don't know. I'm sure a celebrity right now said something they shouldn't have said. Or maybe they should have said it and they didn't. I don't know. So I do a little commentary on that, and I gain, let's say, 50 subscribers just off that video over like 2 weeks. I don't know if any of those people would drop money on my comic book that I want to spell. They could. They very well could. I don't know. And for me to make the assumption that they would or wouldn't, I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, I need some actual data for that. And then for the problem that I have is that I don't like that stuff. I have zero interest in it, so I don't want to participate in that at all. And I don't want to just do it just on the whims that I might get an exploded channel on YouTube. Does that make sense? That's just personal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out some way to like stream or do videos or something. But I can't be naive. There has to be something out there. Like a good example, right? Like there's lots of comic book movies coming out, which is great. And luckily they get lots of attention. So throwing the occasional, I'm not saying review, I don't know. But maybe drawing something in context with an opinion, I don't know. but there must be something on there with the idea of growing a channel. You can't, in my opinion, you can't just draw. You can't. Well, you could, but if the idea is to grow a channel, it's just a slower burn. That might be another way of saying it. And I don't think one is better than the other. You got to take what you like. You got to be true to yourself throughout the entire thing. The moment you start changing who you really are, to me, you're gonna lose yourself so fast. You're gonna trust me. I did this. I was drawing stuff and doing. It's gonna sound shady, but it was all art related. But taking on a lot of work and just doing things because I thought that's what I wanted to be, and I never asked my question enough of why am I doing this, and I forgot my why, and I was lost, man. Once I wrapped up one project, this was the end of last year, somewhere around there. It was like the lowest point I've ever been in art, and it led into me just walking away from comics altogether because I forgot why the hell I'm even doing this. And it was depressing, man, like not knowing why I'm doing something or why have I been why have I been drawing for I'm 35, right? No, I'm 36. 36 years old. That's old as hell. And I've been drawing since high school, like comics hard. So that would be when I graduated in 2000. So shit. What was that, 19 years, almost 20 years? I should be a lot better than I am. Sort of that way. But I forgot, man. Like I lost all that magic was just gone. And once I couldn't find it, I was lost. And I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't even know like what's going on. So if my little ramble can give you any advice at all, is no matter what you end up doing, especially if it's in efforts of gaining popularity or more people to follow you, because at the end of the day we're artists. We want people to check out our stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing shady about it. Everybody's gonna have their own path to get there, but don't forget who you are and why you're doing this stuff. The moment you do, like if and when it blows up or when times get lean, if you don't have yourself to fall back on, it's no good. You could be forever lost. So it sounds way more dramatic than it really is. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. It's kind of like, has everybody in here been in a relationship and you had your heart broken and you don't know why? You don't know what you did or what you didn't do. It's just something happened. But you were in that relationship and you gave everything you had to that person, and then once that didn't work out, all of a sudden you had to be stuck with yourself. But now you don't even know what you're supposed to do because you forgot what the hell, who you were. You stopped hanging out, you stopped doing hobbies and stuff, and now that person that you gave up all that stuff for is gone. And you're just stuck with your pathetic self, and you forgot all about all those things. And you're going to have to re-find them all. Man, this is really getting into a different... All right, let me catch up with what you guys are saying. I'm going into like this whole other... This is sounding like a Billy Joel... Yeah. Oh. I just need a guitar in the background. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, yep. All right, Dennis, we're all looking... Okay, so if you're posting the link, Dennis, we can't see it. So maybe if you could tell us just post the title of it, and then we could search in YouTube. And then if I find it, I can share it with you guys. Ben saying it's a pointless time suck video game that has a firm grasp on my free time. Oh, the game you're talking about. Top-down colony building game. Whew. Good luck, my man. Sorry, search for Sketchcraft art tips digital ink settings. Okay, let me see. Just to catch everybody up that's been waiting for that. Okay, let's get that. Let's do a little searchy poo. Paste. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did see this. Yep. Okay, so let me share it. Rob's such a good guy. Okay, so if you guys just search Sketchcraft, it's art tips digital ink settings. That's all you got to search. And I'll post it in the chat so you guys can literally go to it whenever you want. The one thing that I will say, I think it's a great video. All of the videos he does, they're all legit. Oh, cool. He's finally got his tool presets. Good on you, Rob. The one thing I will say is if you work in Clip Studio, I feel like a lot of people that work in Photoshop to do any kind of comic book stuff, I feel like eventually they either will just jump to Clip Studio, or there's things in Photoshop that are trying to do what Clip Studio can do with some workarounds. If you love Photoshop, then I'm glad there's content out there like that for you. Absolutely. But if you're in Clip Studio, usually there's not too many things that Photoshop does that can speed your workflow up. I could be totally wrong here, so feel free to correct me if I am. Donnie's saying the hot topics and S talking. I don't know what that. Oh, shit talking goes. Sorry. Will help you grow faster for sure, but you can grow without it. Jake Parker and Jeff Brubaker, or I don't think it's Jeff Brubaker. What's his first name? Josh. His name escapes me right now. Have grown from art content. Yep. The biggest key to channel growth is by itself daily content, engaging with your audience, and being entertaining. Yeah, 100%. It's entertainment. You're selling entertainment no matter what, right? Okay, so I like where you're going with this drawing. Seeing some Kirby, Shine, and Finch. Thanks, man. I don't want to go into the Finch stuff. I drew that so much that here. Let me just do this. I'll show you. Okay. To me, this is more Finch-like, right? Like we can even throw this one on top, right? Like there's just so much drama and stuff in there. For me, the one on the right, what it's telling me is this is fun. I enjoy, like for me, I look at that and I think this feels fun. You know, when I look on the left, this feels a little bit more based, a little bit closer towards real life, and for me anyway, I'm done going in that world. I've just been there for so long that it's just so boring to me. It goes into what I was saying already. Like I lived in this stuff. I don't want to like recreate it. That's all. Maybe one day. And right now I'm just trying to fiddle with the style to figure it out. We're gonna add in some big, thick, chunky, inks and stuff. And actually, I got another idea. What we're gonna do is we're gonna like reverse engineer what I did with some of this stuff just to see what I was thinking when I went in there. I just want to catch up with you guys here. Let's go through here. Donnie, thank you for the what do they call this? Some sort of paid chat. What's it called? Sorry. It's not much of the actual settings, but the style of inking. Okay, maybe let me rewatch it. Maybe I missed something there, and I apologize. No, don't worry about letting it go. Feel free. Shout it. And praise Rob for all of his tech, all of his good stuff, man. Super chat, that's what it's called. Thanks. Okay, so here's the thing with these super chats. I really do appreciate it. I think I got one before. I don't think I actually get this money. I'll keep an eye on it. So far, what's happened, just so I'm totally transparent with you guys, because it was either you or somebody else. They gave me a super chat before too, but my YouTube channel has been stuck at like $50 or $59 or something like that, and I haven't seen a check from them in like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So I'm pretty sure you have to make at least $100 for the money to come out. You can't touch any of that money until it's $100. They don't send you a check. So what I need to do is just quadruple check this stuff if we're gonna get back into the streams, just to see. I already looked and everything seemed like it added up. So maybe there's somebody I need to talk to at YouTube if that's even a real thing. I don't know. Because I'd love to be able to refund this if it's not going to me. I don't want it just sitting anywhere just for whatever. But I appreciate it. Again, maybe I just need to start doing drama videos so I can so I can cash stuff out. I don't know. But thank you, brother. You didn't have to do that. Okay, let's add some squigglies here. All right, so the one thing I definitely remember when we did this style, let me just close this because we're going to open that up again in a second here, is trying to figure out, like, where do I want people to look, right? Like, so where's the power coming in this stuff? So to me, this arm, and what helped before is just putting like big, like, I'm going to swear because it just makes me get a little bit more into it. Just some big fucking shapes. Like shapes that I would feel like, ooh, is that a lot? Like I want this, boom, look at this bicep, look at that. Look at it. Look at all these lines coming down into it. Look at that bicep. Like, there's a lot going on here that doesn't make a lot of sense here. We'll put another line in there. Why not? And maybe what we'll do, let me actually just draw in white here. I'm just going to put a line like right across his chest. Just boom, look at this pec. Maybe something like that. So he's starting to look a little metal. Not metal like in Kick-Ass, just like metallic. Okay, looks like we're going to be wrapping the stream up somewhat soon. You get really cool things like right down here, like, no. You just look down at the eyes, you know. Whoops. See, I feel like it's already getting a little unwieldy. It's getting a little slop. But there's definitely something in there, like, I can see there's definitely some highlights here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just before we wrap up, I'm going to, like, reverse engineer some of this stuff. Just to sort of go... Sometimes, this might sound conceited, but sometimes I'll, like, look at my old videos of this stuff, the recorded stuff, and just watch what I was doing, just to remember some of the lines that we were kind of doing. Jay, is it me or is technology getting faster and faster? Did you see the new Lion King movie? CGI is getting better, but it's making art more profitable, like the 3D modeling. Well, technology is never going to slow down. I don't think, unless there's some sort of like electric apocalypse that knocks everything out. Technology isn't going anywhere. I will say, I would hope that the idea of physical things never goes away because people still like tangent stuff. Board games are I don't say blowing up, but cafes are opening up. A lot more cafes are opening up that have like these board game cafes and stuff, right? People like, and some of the people growing up now, they never had like board game night with their parents. I remember growing up with that kind of stuff, so it's nice to see that. For comics, anyway, in my opinion, a lot of people are just moving to digital because it's easier. You don't have to store all these boxes after you read a lot of comics. Unless you're collecting them, they do nothing for you, right? So a lot of people go to digital for that. However, when you're doing these crowdfunded stuff, they're like pocketed. It's not, at least from what I've noticed, it's not necessarily like ongoing monthly things. It's like either a trade paperback or it's like 3 issues total or something, we'll say, or 6, right? A mini series. And people will buy the paper versions of just that because that's the only way to get it. So I think there's definitely something there, and I don't think technology is going to totally take over, and I hope it doesn't because you miss out on the benefits of real life things too, right? There's pros and cons to both. So, Ben, I'd like to see a parody superhero comic where the superheroes are referred to a physician for their alarmingly bulbous steroids, man, just straight steroids. Okay, let's take a look here. What do we have? We had our pencils. What was I doing in pencil stages? Okay, getting super, this look more traditional. So we tightened it up a bit. All right, so you see what happened here? I can already tell one of the major changes here is I was trying to figure out... Okay, so I bought this book. Talking about paper. Where is it? It's on the floor. I can't see. I gotta pick it back up. It's a Jack Kirby. It was like pencil and inks only. A big ass book. Like, I mean, like physically big, not just a lot of content. And it had him with his comic like on DC, so like Demon and stuff like that. On the left, it's his pencils. On the right, it's his inks. If you guys are interested at all in that kind of stuff, for me, I like seeing pencils more so than inks because that shows you. That's how I figured out how he. To me, how he did like Kirby dots. I always thought it was like just make a brush, and I'm not saying I nailed it at all, but I'm pretty sure I can show you here. Let's go through. Oh no, this is color only. Let's grab the other one. But I made like a Kirby brush, and I was just painting around trying to figure it out, but it never felt like good. If that makes sense. What do we got in here? Let me see. Okay, so yeah, I got the big round shapes, put on his costume, yada yada. Okay, color, turn off all the color. Where the hell did I put it? Did I lose it forever? Oh no. Let me try. It was one of these. I'm just trying to show you guys the example here. I didn't mean to take forever to show this example. Oh my god. Was this a Photoshop file? Why is it so big? No, not you. Oh my word. Oh, wow, I'm an idiot. Okay, so this was the first time. Here, let me just open this up. So this would have been like a Kirby brush, right? Like the dots, and I was just like paint them on. They work. You can do whatever you want. They're a little small, whatever, right? But what I didn't like about it was I'm like, man, I don't get, like, I can't direct this. I can just use it with pen pressure and sort of figure this out. Cool, you know what I mean? But it just never felt like, whatever. I needed control, so I did another test, which was this one. And I started doing things like a halo and then like rings and then these things coming in. Now, please God, be in here so I can see it. What I had found out, turn all this off. We're just going to go layer by layer here, guys. Is what he did, and this is why I say I highly recommend you guys check out pencils of people, because you can figure out what the hell they're doing. But what he did was he would use like a pencil or whatever, right? And he would draw like what I'm doing right here. He would draw, I want like Kirby dots going to the eyes. And what this does is now I go, okay, well, all of this cloud inside here, right? This would be the negative space, so white. All I need to do now is all up in here, I could fill in black if I wanted to, and put the dots along the line. So if you see it here, I'm going to turn that on and off just so you can see, like, if you want to watch here or the halo, anything, right? All I'm doing is I'm using the white as a guide. Some of you may have already figured that out. But I had to see his pencils to go, oh my god. So what that gave me, whether or not, you like what I did with it, that's whatever. It just gave me way more flexibility. Now I could do stuff with it. I can move it. And I was like, yeah, great. This is the power of pencils, right? And then just keep going from there. I would start looking at other people's stuff, and pencils are huge because rendering like the final image like this, I could see this and just redraw this, but the pencils, right? Like, this is where it matters. This is where the meat and potatoes is, right? Anybody can paint over this and do whatever, right? So I was like locked in here, right? And then I did it here. This one didn't feel as good, but what I wanted to do is I noticed he did a lot of space things. Do I have it in here? Let's see if no, we already looked at this, right? Okay. But there was things where I was like, I could draw little pockets of black to break up the negative space and all that. I think the dots could have been a lot bigger here. But anyway, that was the example for that. I don't even know why we started talking about Kirby dots. Oh, it was the pencils and stuff for his book. Jay, is loose penciling better or tight pencils? Do you lose energy with tight pencil drawing? I look closely at Frank Chow and David Finch. Okay, so remember this, okay? Those guys like Finch, I can't speak for Cho, but I can definitely speak for Finch. He's a penciler. His work gets pushed to an inker afterwards. Dave very much likes his inks to look basically 100% like his pencils, okay? So because of that, his pencils are super tight. If you're working with another inker, your pencils can be whatever you want. If you want your inker to sort of like have fun with it, then you can be looser, right? You'll also work a lot quicker when they're looser because you're putting a lot of faith that the inker is going to tighten this stuff up. But if you want your art to look 100% like what you're doing, it's better to have super tight pencils. Now, if you're working for yourself, you got to figure out whatever you like. So an example with what I was doing here with this guy is I was just slapping on these inks because that's what I felt they looked right. But when we go back to this, I realized I had already done a pencil sketch, and I already established with a pencil, because it's easier, right, as you're building it up, where the shadows should be. So when we went to inking, right, I can just turn this on. Let me just move this over so it doesn't look so jarring. The inking, like the shadows are already done. I'm still adding stuff, like right here in his pec. I ended up adding a shadow there and some render dots and stuff. Like, it's not super tight. For me, since I know I ink everything, I don't leave things just pencils. I go ahead and I make sure that what I need is here. The main information I need is here. Sometimes I'll just build it as I go. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up, you guys. I apologize. Like I said, we're going to wrap this up super soon anyway. But thank you, everybody that was here. All the comments, the super chat too. I really do appreciate that. And hopefully we'll stream some more with you guys. I don't know how long they'll be. Just for the real talk with you guys. So, like I said, my girlfriend and I are expecting our first baby, child number one, I'd say within 6 weeks at the most. So the problem is my house is super small, right? So noise is going to move around, and I don't want tons of noise around. Plus, when the baby's here, I want to be around, right? So there's going to be some times where I'll be able to find a little bit of pockets of time. Most likely, the things coming up will be just sped up video with me narrating over top until we can kind of figure out some rhythm and we can get back to the streams and stuff like that, okay? But up until then, I'll try to stream as much as I can. And going forward, you'll probably see more of this guy as I iron out or flesh out his universe a bit more. I know, again, like I'm saying, time's going to be tight coming up, being realistic with that. But this gives me great time to explore and figure this guy out and see if the story is worth telling. And then we can go to Indiegogo or Kickstarter and try our path down that road. And I'll try my best to document as much as I did, just like I did with JESOP King, because I know a lot of you guys really enjoyed that. Thank you again, Donald, for everything you've shared with me and everything you shared today. Everybody else that's messaged me or reached out, I love you all. Thank you so much. Everybody that's been watching this stuff, it's been with me for all this time. Always appreciate you guys. And I hope you guys are doing well with your projects and all that great stuff. And yeah, I got nothing else to add on to that. So without further ado, you guys, let's get back to how we used to end this stuff, right? Now that we're getting back into the comics. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.